Have you ever seen something so bizarre, so awkward, so downright uncomfortable that you just couldn't look away? Well, that's exactly what happened when Kim Kardashian decided to show up on Twitch streamer Kai Cenat's live stream with her son, Saint. And let me tell you, this fun little moment turned into one of the most talked about, most awkward, and most shocking celebrity crossovers the internet has ever seen. Because what was supposed to be a lighthearted stream quickly spiraled into a chaotic cocktail of cringe, misplaced parenting, and questions about whether Kim Kardashian is pushing her son into the spotlight before he's even ready. Buckle up, because this story has everything. Forced smiles, awkward silences, bad lighting, an 8-year-old caught in the middle of adult clout chasing, and few moments that will leave you asking, what was Kim thinking? So here's the deal. Kim Kardashian and her son Saint were invited onto Kai Cenat's Twitch stream. For those who don't know, Kai is one of the biggest streamers in the world right now. He's loud, he's funny, and his streams are chaotic in the best possible way. Now, you'd think this would be a fun crossover. Kai brings the energy, Saint is a kid who loves games, and Kim, well, Kim is Kim. But right from the very beginning, it was obvious that something was off. The second the cameras went live, the energy just felt weird. Kai was doing his thing, hyping up the stream, being himself. But Kim looked like she had just been teleported into a world she didn't understand. You know how some people just don't fit in certain spaces? That's what this felt like. Kim Kardashian, the queen of reality TV, standing there under bright lights with her son, surrounded by a crew of young streamers who live and breathe internet culture. She looked out of place, stiff, and honestly, a little uncomfortable. And it showed. Her smile looked forced. Her body language screamed, I don't really want to be here. At one point, people in the chat were already spamming things like, Kim looks awkward, and she doesn't get it. And they weren't wrong. Instead of being this fun, relaxed vibe, the whole stage looked like Kim was there not for Saint's enjoyment, but for, well, clout. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting, because while Kim was standing there like a fish out of water, her son Saint, who, let's not forget, is still just a kid, was being thrown into the center of attention. And listen, Saint seemed like he was having fun at times. He was smiling, playing games, soaking in the energy. But here's the problem. This wasn't just a cute playdate. This was a live stream broadcast to thousands of strangers online. The internet never forgets, and Saint was being treated not like a child, but like a mini celebrity. Fans immediately started asking, is Kim Kardashian pushing her son into the spotlight too early? Because, let's be real, Saint didn't ask to be a child star. Yet here he was, sitting next to his famous mom, being streamed to the world like a performer. And as if the whole situation wasn't already uncomfortable, let's talk about the setup. The lighting was terrible. Kim herself even commented on it, saying it was way too harsh and made her look washed out. Now, normally this would be a small detail, but when you're Kim Kardashian, someone who has built an empire on image, aesthetics, and perfection, bad lighting is basically a crime. It was almost symbolic, too. Here was Kim, a woman who has spent her entire career carefully curating every photo, every video, every public appearance, suddenly stuck under unflattering lighting, unable to control the situation. It was raw, it was messy, and it made her look human in a way she probably hated. But the awkwardness didn't stop there. At one point during the stream, they decided to play a game. A noodle game. Yes, you heard that right. It was this random, silly game involving noodles that had everyone laughing. Everyone except Kim. While Kai and Saint were goofing off, Kim stood there looking like she wanted to be anywhere else but that room. She tried to play along, but you could see in her eyes that this was not her scene. And that made it even more uncomfortable, because instead of just letting her son enjoy the moment, it felt like she was hovering, making sure she was part of the spotlight. And then came one of the most bizarre moments of the entire stream. Kim suddenly started talking about homework. Yes, in the middle of this chaotic, fun Twitch stream, Kim Kardashian went on a rant about how Saint and the kids should be focusing on their homework instead of just playing games all the time. It was awkward. The room went quiet. Kai looked like he didn't know what to say. And honestly, it came across as completely out of touch. Here was Kim, standing in front of an audience of gamers and streamers, preaching about schoolwork in the most joy-killing way possible. People in the chat instantly started mocking her. Comments like, "Kim, read the room," or flooding in. It was one of those moments that perfectly showed just how disconnected Kim can be from the spaces she tries to enter. And just when you thought things couldn't get more uncomfortable, they did. At one point, the conversation turned to piercings. Yes, piercings. And Kim casually mentioned her son's piercing. Now, this might not seem like a big deal at first, but the way it came up and the fact that it was being broadcast live made a lot of people raise their eyebrows. Because again, this is a child we're talking about. Why was Kim so comfortable discussing Saint's piercing on a live stream in front of thousands of people like it was some kind of flex? The whole thing gave off this weird vibe of Kim treating her son less like her kid and more like a brand extension. Of course, the internet had a lot to say about all this. Clips from the stream immediately started going viral. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, everyone was talking about how awkward, uncomfortable, and strange the whole thing felt. Some people were dragging Kim for being out of touch. Others were concerned about Saint being thrust into the spotlight at such a young age. And then there were people who just couldn't stop laughing at how bad the lighting was. It became a full-on meme fest. Now, you might be wondering, why does this matter? Why does one awkward live stream mean anything in the bigger picture? Well, here's the thing. This isn't just about Kim looking uncomfortable on Twitch. It's about a pattern we've seen over and over again. The Kardashians have built their empire on broadcasting their lives. But now, it's not just their lives. It's their kids. North, Saint, Chicago, Psalm, all of them have been featured in some way, whether on reality TV, social media, or even in public appearances. And while some people see it as harmless fun, others see it as exploitation. Because at the end of the day, these kids don't get to choose whether or not they're in the spotlight. Kim makes that choice for them. And moments like this live stream make people question, where's the line between being a proud mom and being a stage mom? And believe it or not, this was just the beginning. Because if you thought the lighting disaster, the homework rant, and the piercing talk were awkward, wait until you hear what happened next. Things took an even stranger turn, and Kim made a speech that had people cringing so hard, they had to click out of the stream. Now remember, this was supposed to be a fun, laid-back Twitch stream. Kai was cracking jokes, the chat was spamming emojis, Saint was trying to just have fun as a kid. But Kim? Kim stood up, looked straight into the camera, and started talking like she was accepting an award at the Oscars. She launched into this whole monologue about her life, her family, her struggles, and how she balances being a mom with being a businesswoman. On paper, it might sound inspiring, but in reality, it was awkward. The tone didn't fit. The audience wasn't there for a motivational speech. They were there to watch Kai Cenat do his chaotic streamer thing. The chat exploded with comments like, "Kim, what are you doing? Wrong audience. This ain't a TED Talk." People were actually begging for the stream to move on. Even Kai looked confused, like he didn't know if he should clap, laugh, or just change the subject. And Saint? Poor Saint sat there looking half embarrassed, half bored, probably wondering why his mom was turning his fun night into another episode of Keeping Up the Kardashians. What made the speech even weirder is that it highlighted just how out of place Kim was in this environment. Kai and his audience are young, internet native, plugged into memes and gaming culture. Kim, on the other hand, is used to carefully edited TV shows, photo shoots, and pre-written storylines. This wasn't her world, and her speech made it painfully obvious. Instead of bonding with the chat or playing along with the energy, she tried to dominate the moment and turn it into her show. And that's what rubbed people the wrong way, because it wasn't about Saint anymore. It wasn't about Kai's stream. It was about Kim Kardashian making sure she stayed center stage, even in a space where she clearly didn't belong. Now let's talk about Saint, because this is the part that really hit people. Throughout the whole stream, you could see him caught between two worlds. On one hand, he was clearly excited to be there. He laughed, he played, he looked like he wanted to just be a kid hanging out. But on the other hand, he had his mom hovering, giving speeches, bringing up homework, and constantly pulling focus. Viewers couldn't help but feel bad for him. The comments were filled with things like, "Saint just wants to play. Let the kid live. This is uncomfortable to watch." It was the perfect example of how the Kardashians blur the line between family and brand. Because for Kim, this wasn't just her son having fun. This was content, and the internet noticed. After the stream ended, the clips spread like wildfire, and so did the criticism. People started questioning whether Kim was being reckless by putting her son in that environment. It wasn't just about the awkward vibes anymore. It was about safety, privacy, and the ethics of exposing your child to the internet in that way. Some said it was dangerous. Others said it was exploitative. And then there were those who pointed out the hypocrisy. Kim giving a lecture about schoolwork while simultaneously letting her son stay up late on a live stream with one of the biggest internet personalities. It didn't add up. And it gave people even more ammo to criticize her parenting choices. Now, to be fair, Kai handled it as best he could. He's used to chaos. That's literally his brand. But even he seemed unsure of how to balance the fun energy of his usual streams with Kim's awkward presence and Saint being right there. At times, he looked like he wanted to break free and just do his thing. But out of respect for Kim, he held back. And that, ironically, made the stream even more awkward. Because Kai wasn't being Kai. He was babysitting the vibe, trying to keep Kim happy while also keeping his audience entertained. And let's just say, it didn't really work. Here's where this gets really interesting. Because this wasn't just some random stream gone wrong. This was a glimpse into the Kardashian machine and how it keeps pulling the next generation into the spotlight, whether they're ready or not. Kim has always been about control. She controls her brand, her image, her narrative. But live streaming is the exact opposite of that. It's raw, it's unfiltered, it's messy. And when you put someone like Kim into that space, the cracks start to show. The speeches, the awkward energy, the forced parenting moments. It all revealed a side of Kim that wasn't polished or filtered. And for once, people got to see what happens when she doesn't have the power to edit the footage. By the next day, Twitter and TikTok were flooded with clips from the stream. Some were mocking the lighting. Some were dragging Kim for being awkward. But the loudest voices were the ones asking, why is she forcing her son into this? The phrase child star started trending alongside Kim's name. People were saying things like, she's grooming him for fame too early. This is how Hollywood kids lose their childhoods. Saint deserves better. It became less about Kim being out of place and more about whether this was harmful for her child. And that's where the real controversy began. Because let's face it, this isn't the first time a Kardashian kid has been thrown into the spotlight. North has already gone viral multiple times for TikToks and fashion appearances. Kylie and Kendall were raised in front of cameras. Even Khloe's daughter True has been part of the Kardashian content machine since day one. It's a cycle. The Kardashians don't just live in the spotlight, they raise their kids in it too. And whether that's empowering or exploitative depends on who you ask. But moments like this Twitch stream make it harder and harder to defend. Because instead of being natural or fun, it feels forced, it feels staged. It feels like these kids are being treated as extensions of the brand. Eventually, the stream wound down. Kim gave her final smiles, Kai wrapped things up, and Saint probably went to bed wondering why his fun night turned into a viral internet debate. But the damage was already done. The clips were out there, the takes were flying, and the narrative was set. Kim Kardashian's attempt to blend into internet culture had backfired, and this time, she dragged her son into the mess with her. So now the question is, what happens next? Will Kim learn from this and keep her kids away from live streams? Or will this just be the beginning of Saint becoming another Kardashian child star, whether he likes it or not? Because if there's one thing we know about this family, it's that they don't back down from controversy. Sometimes, they even thrive on it. But when your children are the ones in the spotlight, the stakes are a whole lot higher. And after this stream, people are watching more closely than ever. And that's where we'll leave it for now. because something tells me this isn't the last time Kim Kardashian's parenting choices will spark outrage online. But one thing's for sure. This Twitch crossover will go down as one of the most awkward, most criticized, and most revealing moments in Kardashian history.